Hey guys, what's going on? It's me Jay here to talk about another video, another topic. Sha'Carri Richardson, who was in the news last summer for the Olympics, she was suspended by the Olympic committee for her marijuana use, and now this other controversy about doping has come up in the Winter Games. This girl Kamila Valieva, she um she was also discovered that she was using drugs. Now, there is a tremendous, hey Lisa, what's going on? There's a tremendous difference, I believe, between what Camila is going through and what Sha'Carri Richardson was going through. And it says it right here in this article. For one, Sha'Carri Richardson was suspended for marijuana, which we went over is not a performance enhancing drug. It's not something that um, can make you run faster. If anything, marijuana slows you down in a sport like track and field. What this girl, Camila, was accused of was a performance enhancing drug, was a drug that was performance enhancing. Now, people are saying what the main difference is. This is the excuse the Olympic committee gives. What the main difference is, they're saying, one is that Sha'Carri Richardson is older. Two, that the girl is only 16, the Russian girl, the white girl. She's only 16. Two, that she is Russian and Sha'Carri Richardson is American and they're subject to different rules. Which can be true because Russian people, the Russian committee is known to be cheaters. We know this since the movie Rocky 4. In Rocky 4 and in real life, Russian competitors, at that time Soviet Union competitors, did dope up their athletes to especially compete against Americans because at that time, there was the Cold War and we were competing on every front, even in sports. United States and in Russia. And still to this day, Russia is not the Soviet Union anymore, but it is an antagonist of the United States in the sports world, like a main competitor of the United States. So that is possible that they let her get away with this. But my question is, the American public is still judging Sha'Carri Richardson for the use of marijuana. One, listen, her mother died at that time during that weekend, so it's only fair that she grieved the way she wanted to. Two, she's doing it even if it was a performance enhancing drug. Why is the American public criticizing her? Well, we know why, and we'll get to it later. Why is the American public criticizing her when she's doing it for us? She's doing it for our country. She's doing it competing in what we're competing against. She calls it out. She says that it is racism. She says that the girl, Camila, is being judged on a different standard than her because she's a black young lady and and the other girl, Camila, is a white young lady. And I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I say all those bullshit excuses that they're giving. Oh well, she's from a different country. She's judged by a different standard. Bull. That's complete bullshit. I believe it is a racial standard. They tried to paint in the public media Sha'Carri Richardson as ghetto, as ratchet, as thugged out because she's a black woman competing in a predominantly black sport. They did the they did the exact same thing, not the exact same thing, but something similar to Simone Biles at that time. We said before, Lisa and I on this channel before, when we talked about black people in sports, that they are judged by a different standard. The black athletes almost have to be the paragons of moral virtue, whereas white athletes like Michael Phelps and stuff can get away with all this, and we're seeing it right here at this point. And one thing she points out, not only her own case, not only her own situation, not only her own case, but also other black cases. She says every black athlete that has a case, there's something going on with them, as far as like sketchy stuff, as far as like you know, doping and all that, has not been allowed to compete for some reason. You know what I mean? Racial double standard. But every white athlete that has had a case against them as far as drugs has been allowed to compete. They're always going to come up with these little bullshit excuses, but it is quite obvious what the situation is. Anyway, I support Sha'Carri Richardson. She is one of the shining bright black athletes, African American athletes, and really, I don't know about the summer. I mean, the Winter Olympics. The Jamaican bobsled team is back, and it's remember that from that John Candy movie, Cool Runnings, right? But you know, as far as the United States, most of the athletes that competed in the summer games were majority black athletes. The black athletic excellence shines through in the Olympics. That's one of the areas that it really does shine through, especially in the track and field area, things, the gymnastics. Simone Biles, who is recently engaged, displayed her black girl magic on the Olympics last summer, and they're always trying to, use their racial tactics and racial supremacy to try and trip up black athletes. But it's good for Sha'Carri Richardson to call this shit out because this girl, this Kamila Valieva girl, she should be suspended. She's cheating, and her and her country are cheating in ice skating. You know, they're giving her a leg up, an edge up with drugs, and it's not fair. You know, Lisa, what do you think? What's your opinion on this? Yeah, but they wanna do this kind of shit because they really are angry, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of no, I don't see what you wrote. It's kind of weird that they would try to trip up black athletes that are representing the United States. They're representing the country of the United States. They're carrying the banner of the United States. You know, we are right now, for those that don't know, we are engaged in an ideological civil war, not civil war, an ideological war with Russia right now. And I believe, in my personal opinion, okay, her the Russian girl gave the excuse that the banned substance may have been the result of contamination with medication and her grandfather. But what does that got to do with her? What does her grandfather's medic? Did she? I mean, that is a bullshit, lame excuse. Whatever her grandfather took has no effect on what she's taking. But what I'm saying is, I believe Russia right now is trying to beat us in this sports because they're not, they're too afraid to beat us in actual war. Because right now they're invading Ukraine. Right. They're invading Ukraine right now, and we are trying to tell them, Vladimir Putin, Trump's boy, listen, don't invade Ukraine. Don't go into Ukraine's territory. Leave Ukraine alone. President Biden is giving them the warning. So as this is coming up right now, the Olympic committee is giving Russia the giving them the green light to go ahead and do this foul shit. This real foul shit in sports. And this is cheating, guys. This is cheating. This is obvious cheating. You're not just you're not just taking marijuana because you feel depressed, or you're taking alcohol, something that is not going to affect you. You are taking something that is going to affect you and how you compete on an international level against other countries. You're taking something that's going to give you a leg up, give you an advantage in sports competition. This is like what Marion Jones did. Remember when Marion Jones, the other runner from back in the day, got in trouble for taking uh, performance enhancing drugs? Remember what happened to Brock Lesnar? He got in trouble for taking performance enhancing drugs in 2016 when he competed in the UFC. Remember what happened to Barry Bonds when he got in trouble uh, for taking uh, right. That Lisa is absolutely right. I mentioned that in the beginning. They're saying that the people shouldn't go hard on her because she's a girl. She's a teenage girl. She's not a grown woman, right? She's a girl. So she is a girl. That is true. She's 16 or whatever, right? But you're a girl in the Olympics. You are not, okay, you are a little, you are a girl, but you're not a little girl. You know what I mean? You are 16 years old, 17 years old, what have you. You are fully aware that performance enhancing drugs can give you a leg up. She has personal agency. She's old enough to make her own personal decisions. She's not 5, she's not 6, she's not 3, right? She has the ability to make no right from wrong. So the excuse of being young, that's BS, guys. And number one, number two, like, you know, good point Lisa brings up. Um, in the adults are in charge of her. You know what I mean? They're in charge of her career. The committee for Russia, whoever runs the Russian team, is in charge of her. They know what they're doing. They know that this will give her a leg up. This will give her an advantage to win. They're adults. They're grown men. They're grown women. They know better. So, all right, she's 15. But still, 15 is not young. 15 is old enough to know right from wrong when it comes to cheating in professional sports. You know what I mean? 16 is not 5, 16 is not 1, 16 is not 2, 16 is not 10, 15 is, 15 is 15. You know what I mean? So, and like you said, the adults handling her know better. They're grown up and they know that this is an old tradition in Russia. This is something that Russian Olympicists and Russian sports people have been doing for years. We know this, even in the American media. We talk about it. Rocky Four, like I said, the whole basis of Rocky Four was that the Russians were doping up Dolph Lundgren's character, um, Ivan Drago, and making him a superhuman being to take on Rocky the American. You know what I mean? So, my disappointment comes from the American public that is racist, the American public that is trying to make Sha'Carri Richardson out to be the bad guy, because she represents us. She represents our country. She carries the banner of our country She represents us. But people that are so white supremacists and racist, they don't see it that way. They don't see, excuse me, that Sha'Carri is us. They don't see Sha'Carri as holding the banner for us, our country, holding the banner for our people. They see her as just a thugged out, ghetto ratchet black woman because she smoked a little weed. So what? Weed, the big deal. That's not going to do anything to to performance enhancing in track and field. That's not going to. And the excuse about the grandfather, that was your grandfather's medication. What are you doing taking your grandfather's medication, girl? You know, you know what I mean? So I don't buy that thing that Nueva is talking about. It was cheating. She should be banned for life. Okay, there are two general points of what it's allowing Valieva to skate. She's a minor, and minors are subject to lesser penalties because of their age, depending on their transgression. Okay, she's a minor, but what about the people in charge of her? What about her team? They're not minors. They should be subject to disqualification. And if she didn't know what was being put in her, like, okay, say they slipped something in her drink, right? Then still somebody else. Okay, so she already skated. She skated afterwards, and she tested negative in Beijing. But then she so when they initially did the test, she was negative, and then she came back positive later. Okay, she tested negative in Beijing. Villanueva's test came in December, and there was significant delay in test reporting, and the results came in only after she had skated. Okay, so she already did it, but what about future competitions? Or maybe the performance, if they're not going to do future competitions, should be declared null and void. You shouldn't. The results shouldn't count. I say, should Miss Valieva finish amongst the top three in the women's skating competition? No flower ceremony, no medal ceremony will take place during the Winter Olympic Games, nor should it. She should be disqualified. That's my opinion. She should be disqualified, cut out of the competition, just the same way Sha'Carri Richardson was shamed and cut out of her competition. Do treat, yeah, they should. Lisa said she thinks that the Olympic Committee should have separate ages, separate issues for separate ages. Should they? Should you guys think that should be the case? Other guys comment below and express your opinion. Me, I think they should as well. You know what I mean? Minors, why is adult people even competing against minors? You know, one is physically developed already, and one is mentally developed, and the other ain't. So There's one competing against another. It doesn't make no sense either, in my opinion. You know, they should have a junior Olympics, right, for the younger people. Yep. They've always same. They did that same thing with Marion Jones. They revoked her medals. You know, when they found out that she was doping. So X this girl out, Marion Jones. I think you're talking about. Lisa. Are you talking about Marion Jones? That's the one I'm talking about. Yes, it was Marion Jones, Lisa. It was in the Sydney Games. I remember that because I was in camp that year when we were watching it, and I thought it was bullshit back then because I'm like every every celebrity gets, you know, they were all doing it. You know what I mean? It was obvious they were all doing it. They were getting caught in baseball doing it a lot. Sammy Sosa was doing it a lot. Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, all of them were doing it in professional sports. And she just happened to get caught. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not right. It's not fair. You know what I mean? But what Sha'Carri is calling out is the double standard. A black athlete, right? I pointed that out too. This is absolutely right. She says she don't think Russia should be in the Olympics anyway. Seems like every time they're in the Olympics, they're doing something illegal. They are well known that they cheat. They are supposed to be great athletes, right? Great, strong athletes, great at figure skating, the Oksana Bayuls of the world, great at wrestling, like the Khabib Nurmagomedovs of the world, great at boxing, supposed to be, right? They have the Klitschko brothers, they have Gennady Golovkin and all that. You know what I mean? But in reality, a lot of them use steroids. You know what I mean? So taking nothing away from the Khabibs or the Oksanas or the, you know, the Gennady Golovkins of the world or anything like that, but it's the reality. Eastern European athletes use performance enhancing drugs. Like I said, we've been talking about it in the American media for the longest, going back to Rocky Five. You know, the portrayal of Eastern European athletes menacing, strong, really athletic, and meanwhile they're all on steroids and they're all on drugs. That is a reality. I know there is a lot of people on my page from various Eastern European countries, Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, etc. You know what I'm saying? But it is a reality. Eastern European athletes are known for using drugs in the Olympics. Not that they're not naturally strong or some of them are not naturally athletic, but they are known for using drugs in the Olympics. They've gotten caught several times with their hands in a cookie jar, guys. You know what I mean? We can't make believe that that is not the case. You know what I mean? You know, nobody is making excuses for this girl. Nobody is making excuses for her. She did what she did. She was young, yes, I understand that, but her team wasn't young. They weren't minors, and she should be stripped of her medals. They would do it to a black athlete, so why not do it to a Russian athlete? It may be wrong in a diplomatic sense. Like, okay, the United States is pushing to strip a Russian athlete of her achievements and her accomplishments. No, well, she cheated. It's nothing against Russia, nothing against her country, but she cheated. Yeah, that's a good point. Do I think there should be an age limit? Yes, I think, I said it earlier. I think there should be a junior Olympics. Look, because in everything we do in athletics, and even some of the things we do in academics, guys, there is junior Olympics. I mean, there is junior competitions and there is senior competitions. I went to a basketball program where there was juniors and seniors as well. You know what I mean? That makes logical sense. You have a juniors and you have a seniors. You have the young people and you have the older people. Older people are more mature in their mindset than younger people. That is obvious. So why throw the younger kids in there with the older kids? I mean, older kids and people in the Olympics. That doesn't make any sense. You know, you had the Larry Nassar situation. You know, molesting all those young girls. That was another issue. So I agree. I agree. You know, I have separate Olympic games. You know, with just the young people, and have more Olympic oversight. You know, why did she get caught testing after it happened? Should have happened before. You know, she passed the trials in Beijing. You know, she passed the trials before, and now they caught her later on. What's wrong with the Olympic oversight? If you ask me, I think the Olympics is letting some of the people get away with some of this stuff. You know what I mean? And then later on, they get caught, and the Olympics act like they didn't know what they was doing. You know, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, guys, yes, there should be Olympic age limits, and if not an age limit, there's separation between the older and the younger participants, guys. That only makes logical sense. We're talking about people that are not as emotionally, not as mentally, not as uh, even physically mature, and can be emotionally, physically, and sexually manipulated. More Olympic oversight and stop the double standard between a black athlete because you're mad at black excellence in sports, and start supporting black athletes for start supporting black athletes for their mental, physical, and emotional well-being, not just for their physical acumen and how they can win medals for your country. Because remember with Simone Biles, she had depression, she dropped out, and then everybody in racist white America castigated her and started throwing stones at her. Remember that, guys? So we got to support athletes, not just supporting them when they're in the Olympics, but support them as the edification of them as human beings. So the Olympics, they just need to do better. You know what I mean? Stop treating Olympic athletes like commodities. Stop treating them like capitalist entities and start treating them like human beings. So, off topic, but I guess it kind of it relates to the internationally. Pray for Queen Elizabeth, guys. She was diagnosed with COVID. But in closing in this video, um, I would like to say do better, Olympic Committee, and suspend that Russian girl because she's a cheater, and cheaters never win. Peace. Thank you, Lisa, for contributing. Thank you guys for watching. Love you.